Hoffman. I'm the social worker here. You and I met yesterday. This is our training on dementia, and it originates with a woman named Teepa Snow. She's actually an occupational therapist by trade. She's been doing this for many, many years. There's a couple of different things some housekeeping things we need to kind of clean up a little bit. This is different than the training you had yesterday where you kind of sit and listen to me yammer on and on. You'll actually be involved. You'll be putting your hands on each other, so prepare yourselves for that. Miss Snow just swear a little bit, so if that's offensive, I'm just going to apologize in advance. Most people get quite a kick out of it. If you are triggered by something, just go ahead and leave the situation. We'll recover, and I'll visit with you out in the hall, and we'll get things straightened out, okay? So what we're going to work on today is called normal versus not normal aging. So we're not even going to get into too much of the dementia. Some of the papers that I've given you today give you some information. So some introduction beliefs, positive language, positive physical approach, and the 3 zones as a guide, dementia, more about positive physical approach, positive personal connections, and it gives you some things to kind of work through as we go through this. It'll give you some interventions that you can use. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so we're going to go over here, and part of our learning process. So how do you learn best?
Pretty much hands-on.
Hands-on, okay, all right. How about you? Hands-on, okay. Does anything else support while you're learning hands-on? Like visually, auditory, taking notes?
I write things down, I remember a lot.
Okay, all right, all right. How about you?
If I see watching someone do things over and over again, it's easier to do it when I'm doing it myself.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So what we'll be kind of reviewing today is called AELC, and that's the learning process. It's called the Adult Experiential Learning Cycle. So we're going to experience it, we're going to share, we're going to do some processing of our sharing, we're going to connect, and then we're going to apply to situations that we're familiar with. Okay. So as we go through, you'll hear me saying stop. Okay, now we need to go through this process. Okay. What some of the information you need to know about dementia? Maybe you guys already know this. 2 parts of the brain are actively dying. There are no cures. Continues to progress and change, and it is terminal. Do you guys know anybody who's suffering from dementia outside of our facility?
Grandmother.
Okay.
Back in Ohio.
What do you see with her?
I haven't seen her in about 3 years, but when I left, right before I left, she was painting, and she was talking to everybody, and she recognized certain people and not other people, and now, from what I've understood from my aunt and my mom, that she just kind of walks around aimlessly. She doesn't paint, she doesn't do no crafts no more. She's just, you know, and she picks things up that are soft.
Okay, all right. How about you?
Well, quite a long time ago, this was back in like 89, somewhere in there. My grandfather had it, but he wasn't diagnosed with that. They actually had sent him to, I think it wasn't Rollins, Evanston. Mm-hmm. It's where they had, and he was down there for about 6 months, and they all of a sudden, oh, well, he's cured, and they sent him back home. Mm-hmm. And so just going through all that, and then we did end up putting him in a nursing home. And my sister and I, because my grandparents raised my sister and I. And so we'd go over to see him over in the nursing home, and he knew that I was Peggy and my sister was Carol, but he talked to us like we were 8 years old. Like, he knew us, but he talked to us like back then. Okay. And so that was kind of hard to see that. But, and that, aside from working with people with it, that's the only one in my family that I know
So hopefully today we will give you some tools to kind of recognize what we're actually seeing, what you actually saw in both or would be seeing with your loved ones. So any questions so far? All right, I'm going to go ahead and get the video started. You need to do everything that Miss Tipa does, okay? And I will be watching. She's going to ask you to actually do things. It's that doing that you said helped.
What we're going to talk about now is the difference between normal aging and not normal aging. Now understand, I did not say dementia, I just said normal aging, not normal aging, because one of our big misconceptions in this country is that if it's not normal aging, it's going to be dementia. And that's not true. So we've got to get that one off the table. So what I'm going to do very quickly is give you two quick little role plays that are going to take you through normal versus not normal. So I'll do normal first. I'm in the living room, and I've been watching a TV program, and the program finishes, and I decide, you know what, I'm thirsty. I think I'm going to go make a pot of coffee. And I head toward the kitchen to make coffee. But before I get all the way in the kitchen, the telephone rings. And so I answer the telephone. Hello? Oh, hey, sweetheart. How have you been? Well, yes, of course I know who it is. It's, right on the tip of my tongue. Starts with B. Betty, of course it's Betty. Sorry. Recognized your voice right away, just couldn't think of your name. Yeah, seen your moment. Huh? What? Oh, no, I'd love to get together. Oh, today? Okay, what? At 2? This afternoon? All right. Oh, at the mall. Okay, well, which end? Macy's. Oh, that's where J.C. Penney's was, right? They moved out and then, I know what you're talking about. Absolutely. The menswear, is that the same? Yep, I know where to be. 2 o'clock, I'll be there. Wait right inside the door. I'll be waiting right inside that door. It's supposed to be a little chilly this afternoon. Yep. Huh? What? Oh, they opened a new chocolate store. Oh. Well, you know me. You know what I'm going to get. I'll get caramels. I always get caramels. You're going to get, I know you like the white flaky stuff in the chocolate. Yes, coconut, of course. That's you. Huh? Oh, no, I'll be happy to call and see if Margaret wants to come. That'd be great. Yeah. Oh, the vacation pictures? Oh, yeah, I'll bring them. Wait till you see yourself in that bathing suit. Oh, I was just kidding. Just teasing you. You know how I am. Such a teaser. She's getting fat. I'm not going to say it, but she sure is getting fat. Okay, huh? What? No, I didn't say anything. I was just talking to myself. Writing a note. All right, sweetheart. Well, I'll see you then. Love you. Okay, bye-bye. What did I come in here for? Okay, hang on, let me think here. I was in the living room, I was watching the TV. Program ended. Telephone. Betty hadn't called, I'd been able to remember. Okay, let me think on this. Nothing here. Okay, I was in the living room, I was sitting right here. Okay, and the program ended, and I thought, God, man. Okay. Coffee. Why could I not think of that? Lord knows I'm losing it. Now, all of you've gone dead silent because all of your brains are going, oh.
Okay. Has this ever happened to you guys? Okay.
We call it sometimers. Sometimes I can remember and sometimes I can't.
Agreed. It has happened to me as well. How about happening to your loved ones or anybody else, like the social worker? Because you will see me stop and go.
I think it happens to everybody. I mean, I even know my kids
Do it.
to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and they're 20 and almost 23, and I caught them doing it before.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and I don't know if that's more of like their mind sidetracked with a different thought. You know, they come walk into the kitchen and stop and look at me, like, what?
They're like, I came in here for something, now I can't remember.
So yeah, I mean, I
What
think
do
it
you
happens to everybody.
What do you tell them when that happens?
I
It happens to all of us, and that's what I tell them.
Well, that, and, you know, they'd come walking in the kitchen, obviously, if they were coming in there for something to eat or drink, you know, and they'd stop and look at me like, Gatorade, water, food, what are you after?
So you start making suggestions, that's good,
Yeah.
that's good.
That's what I did with them.
How about with anybody else? With the social worker wandering around? Does that make a difference?
Well, kind of, because, I mean, seeing you walking down the hallway and not knowing exactly where you're headed or where you're going, or you don't have any papers, you know, I mean, it'd be hard to,
It would.
ask you
It would.
what you're doing and where you're going, I mean.
All right, perfect, all right. We're gonna keep exploring this. Heavens.
Shit, I have this. Every single one of your brains is going, oh my God. And your brain is going, that's not dementia, that can't be dementia. I don't think that's dementia, that's just normal. Isn't that normal? I think that's normal. Your brain is talking to itself. One side is going, I think he's got dementia. No, she didn't say that was dementia. I think she said that was just not normal. I think that was okay. That happens every single time. The room gets dead silent, because if you just think old people are worried about this crap, no, we're all concerned. Because you're going, I think I've done that. I did that just yesterday. What you've totally forgot, because in that moment your brain was going, is I said that was normal. I was going to do normal first. So here's what I think I better do. Do this.
All right,
Roll your
we
shoulders.
do this.
I think we better do it one more time. You need to let it go. Breathe out all the way, because you guys are going. And by the end, your brain's going, shit, oh my God, you got it. I got it. I told you it was not stress. I didn't think it was just stress. I told you it was just. Especially when I had to come back and sit in the chair. You're going, oh my God. So.
All right. Has that ever happened? Where you find your heart rate going up?
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? What do you do?
Sit down for a minute, take a deep breath.
Okay.
About what I was doing, and
All right. So what do you think that does when you're taking that deep breath?
I relax.
Yeah, and somehow it relaxes you, and I know
Right.
there's a.
Think about what I was going to do.
Okay. All right. So we've got this lovely little stress hormone called cortisol that starts when you get stressed or can't remember something, and it starts pumping into your system. So when you take that deep breath, several deep breaths, it helps to center things and helps you deal with the cortisol that's being dumped in there. All right? All right.
Okay, so here we go.
All right,
Hand
here
up.
we go. Hands up.
Human beings have 5 ways to take things from, do this, out there and get them in their brain. 5 ways to take data from the world around you and put it in here so you can use it. You can process it, you can understand it, you can appreciate it. So the number 1 way, notice how it's separated from all the others. It's special. Do this, be an artist. Visual data. Visual data is the most powerful incoming data. It is what human beings prefer, and it is what they want first in any way of collecting data. They want to see something first. It allows them to see it, and then they can start to think about what they want to do next. But what you see is the most powerful sensory input that you're going to get in your brain. But here's the interesting thing about vision. Show me what you see with. Point to what you see with. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Put your hand back here. This is where you process in your brain what you see. So brain activity in the occipital area, the back of your brain, is where you process visual input. There's a little bit of distance there, isn't there? What connects the input system to the processing system is wiring. And in dementia, all wiring goes on the fritz and then dies. Just so you know. So there's a lot of wiring here, and it's complicated wiring. It's actually fairly complicated, because how many eyes do you have? 2, so you've got to take in data from 2 eyes, integrate those 2 pieces of data, process it, and then make sense of it. So all that's happening in the back of your brain. I'll show you in a few minutes. There's a huge amount of your brain devoted to visual processing. It's huge. There's also wiring between what you see and some other parts. Second way that you get data in your brain, take your index finger. Oh, look at how it points to things. What you Here, auditory incoming. Auditory data is the second most important way that human beings get data into their brain. Auditory. But if you hear a sound off to the side, what will you immediately do? Look, because this is primary. This just alerts you to go look and see what it is you want to see. So when it comes to dementia, visual then auditory. People with dementia pay more attention and are getting more value out of what they see than what they hear. This is secondary, this is primary. Guess what caregivers like to do a lot though? Do this.
Yeah.
Y'all love to run your mouth. You think they're paying attention to what you're saying. What they're doing is watching you when you're saying it. And they're picking up on your visual cues, but they're missing the content cues. Do this. So take the weapon that you've created, put it to your head, and pull the trigger. Because what happens is we think they're processing what we're giving them verbally, and what they're really processing is how we look visually and how we sound, but not necessarily the content. And because we're not on the same page, they're not getting this, they're getting this. We think they're getting this. This is not going to match. Who has to change? We do. So we have to use less of this and start with this. And learn to use visual more than auditory. Third way you get data in, auditory. Put your hands right here. Your temporal lobes. Both sides are involved, but they're very different. This side is very different than this side. How many ears do you have? 2. All forms of dementia, all forms attack the brain asymmetrically. It means it attacks one side of the brain more than the other. That's how it works. It hits one side and then it spreads more. So what happens in general, the left side of the brain is generally attacked sooner and faster and more devastatingly than the right side of the brain. We don't know exactly why, but in most patterns of dementia attack, you're going to see more on the left than on the right. Left, right, language areas, but they're different. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Third way that you get data in your brain, take that middle finger, drop it down, and touch it to the back of your other hand. Now this is actually complicated, and this is one of the most complicated, and it also takes up a lot of brain space. This is sensory motor. You feel something, you do something, you do something, you feel something. They're wired together so that when you feel something, if you like it, you do more of it. If you don't like it, you stop doing it. So when you feel something, you do something to change or encourage or facilitate what you're feeling, and if you don't like it, you don't do it anymore. Here's the biggest challenge of dementia care. Turn to the person next to you.
Turn to the person next to you.
And if you will come up this time.
Actually, we're going to stop here.
Thanks. All right, now what we're going to do is eliminate vision, and we're not going to talk.
We're not. We're actually going to go.
Okay, so we're taking away 2 of the ways that you would normally be able to get data into your brain, and I'm just going to use that third way. Oh. Go ahead and do that so you get the feel of what it feels like when you're doing this. So you can already tell where I'm going with this. This is not a good one to start with because most people are not fond of the idea of starting an interaction like this. And I do this particularly so you'll start to get the idea, no touching until you've done a visual verbal, and only then are you allowed to do the touch. You got to make sure they come together. So here's what we're going to do.
All right. So now I'm going to have you pair up. Obviously, we've only got one pair today, so it's an easy choice. However, one of you needs to decide to be the resident, and the other needs to be the caregiver. Who do you choose?
I'll be the resident.
Of course you would.
Okay, that's okay. So, resident, I'm going to have you sit in the blue chair back there. I'm going to have you close your eyes and put your hands behind your back. Now, the reason we're doing this is I want you to feel vulnerable, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to have you come up here with me. Okay. How'd that feel?
Like someone was dressing me or fixing me so I can
Were
do
you
something.
comfortable with that?
I prefer to do it myself, but.
Okay. How did you feel?
Weird.
Okay. Why did you feel weird?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, like, if it was my child or something, it'd be different, you know, but she's not somebody that I know yet, really, you know,
Mhm.
so, and I would be, you know, kind of that same way with residents,
Would be.
if you don't know them,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know you,
Right, right.
so, yeah.
So you weren't too uncomfortable, but you were definitely.
Not totally, but yeah, it was kind of weird. We're a lot closer now, by the way.
Yes. So when might you find yourself in a position to do something like this?
Well, my grandkids or my
Talking
mom or dad
professionally.
or,
I'm talking here.
oh, professionally.
You can bring your hand up.
I personally would never
I wouldn't,
go, what am I trying to say? I would always come up to the front so they could see me to
Okay.
do this and you'd explain what you were doing instead of
So
coming from behind.
your visual primary, good, that's good. And then what else would you do? If you're in front of them?
Well, I mean, I've always been taught that, you know, I mean, you don't, like, I stand above them like this, you kind of get down to eye level.
Yeah,
Yes.
So you're,
they
they
can
can see you.
see me and look in my eyes.
And if they don't understand the hair, do this to your own hair and then, you know, try to do
Okay,
theirs
that's
just so they
great.
understand what you're
So you're kind of
doing.
giving them a visual too. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna get some more information on this. But I really like the way you guys are answering, because you're already thinking along the same lines of what we're being trained for today. So great job. Please do, because I'll take it into my office. It will never be seen again.
Well, I couldn't sneak up behind her very well, just in doing that. And not that
You
I'm
close your eyes.
sneaky.
People with dementia, put your hands behind your back, because I want you to feel incredibly vulnerable. That's what this disease does. It robs you of skills, so you suddenly are pretty vulnerable. And you thought you were competent. Okay, so caregivers, here's what you're going to do. You watch me and do to them what I do to my person. Okay, y'all should have your eyes closed. There should be no peeking. Notice how many of you opened them up to see what I was up to. Yeah, they're sneaky like that. Okay, you ready? We're going to use these. Okay, you ready?
Those are your skill fingers.
And now, one more. Now, I'm going to pause you.
We've already had this discussion, so we're gonna go ahead and keep going. I stopped it there so you can't see what's
How
going
many of you
on.
found at some point who were being touched, your eyes flew open? How many of you realized you had a really hard time not going, oh, wait a minute, hang on there. Now, what I want you to do right now is touch yourself where we just touched you.
Go ahead and
Go ahead and touch yourself where we made the touches.
Does that feel different?
Well, because you know yourself what you're doing, so it's not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, so you know what's going
Yeah.
on. Perfect, great.
How many of you feel that that feels different than when we touched you? Yeah, because if you are doing it yourself, you're actually sending and receiving, and it's a closed circuit. However, when we do to you, it's an open circuit, and for your brain, we eliminated the knowledge of where and when the touch was going to occur, and so your brain was going, oh, 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 oh. It was a hyper alerting, and let me tell you something that we don't think about touch. Light moving touch. Light moving touch? Cockroaches crawling on your skin.
Oh.
Clothes rubbing across.
So I'm just reading your visual cues there. How did her
Just-
description of that?
Any bug,
Yeah, pretty much me too, anybody.
just the thought of something crawling
Does
on
that,
me.
now, when we look back at what you experienced back here, could that have felt like a bug coming across you if you couldn't see or didn't know that we were in a training exercise?
From behind, when she went like this, that didn't bother, but when I knew she was behind me, you know, to doing my hair, that kind of,
Okay.
like a bug.
All right, perfect. And do we do that with our residents sometimes?
I don't, I try to keep my distance because I'm not, now if they were standing next to me and going to fall, yes, I
Let-
would.
Let me catch this for you. Let me just get this, or let me.
Yeah, see, I don't, it's not my place. I am the housekeeper and I'm cleaning for them. I'm not actually in physical contact. I had a lady today and she was holding a blanket and she had gotten jelly on it. And she had kind of waved at me and I came over and was talking to her and she was explaining that she got something on it and I said, would you like me to take it to the laundry for you? I could have it washed. And she said yes, that she would like that. And I said, would you like to give me the blanket? And I never touched her. And she never let go of the blanket. She never gave it to me. And then she said I said, would you like, I know she sits in the one recliner and watches TV. I said, would you like to go over? And I was going just to push her to the chair and not get her up until I found someone to do
Right,
that. But
right.
I don't really touch anybody
Okay.
because it's not, I'm the housekeeper. I'm not in that position.
All right, sounds good, sounds good. And do you think you'll experience someplace where we could use this, where you need to be recognizing what kind of light touch we're using?
Well, yeah, in the place that I was before, well, actually both places, because I had kind of told you about the other place, we had one of them that she was deaf, and, to get her attention, I mean, again, it's one of those, you can't go up behind them and, because you can scare them, and she wasn't very steady, and you go in front and tap her, get her attention. I don't ever approach anybody
From behind?
from
Yeah.
behind.
Sure, that's good, that's good.
That's one thing I learned a long time ago.
Yeah, perfect, perfect.